Seems to be blowing from this direction. This direction I smell it. The other was on fire. I said, no.
Just cremating someone.
That's just your neighbor. So I don't know. But I think it's usually when it's blowing from this direction.
Yeah, it's right there.
I think the fire could be a little right on the flag.
That's concerning. Just being, I think we try to take a step back. Right. Oh, for sure. No, no, it's your free, right? Right. Maybe they'll get frustrated.
We are at 29, if we can get those lights green, please, and we'll get started right at 31. All right, the clock has struck 30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to our City Council agenda as of March 9th, 2026. And with that, Clerk Tomasic, please call roll.
Schumate,
Here.
Bosmer,
Here.
Cox,
Here.
Dill,
Here.
Lapointe,
Here.
McNabb,
Here.
Mulnar.
Here.
We have a full house this evening, so no necessity to excuse any absent members. So that will bring our attention to approval of the agenda. Council and members of public, as publicly noticed, please see the agenda, and council will be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. With an approved agenda, we would love to turn over the floor to our members of public. Members of public, please address the podium there and make sure that light is green and state your name and your address. Are there any public comment this evening?
I'll start it off. Lenore Bolthouse, 30567 Young. First of all, I want to say that it threw me off because I really wish that public comment would be after the presentation that you have listed for today. But because it's not, this is my time. I am going to say what I was going to bring up here anyway. I've already spoken to Jason, so I'll probably get with him afterwards or on Wednesday as well. So first of all, I'd like to know if there's any NDAs that were going to be signed with this agreement for the data center coming in. Number two, I really want to understand what company is behind the data center. There are a lot of data centers that go up. They're Google, Microsoft, what have you. I want to know that. How much revenue will this community lose because of the state-granted sales and use tax exemptions for data centers that are also abate the local share of those sales taxes? So it's my understanding, as a community, we will lose revenue. What's that number? As far as the number of employees and how many of them will be local. Also, I'd like to also state, I do understand that this is a smaller data center than some of the other ones that have been put up around the country and in Michigan, but it doesn't matter, it's still a question to ask. How much water, and do we have enough of a water supply? And who will pay for any of the upgrades needed for our infrastructure if they're needed? Because the fact remains that data centers need fresh water because of corrosion and possible bacteria growth in order to cool those datas, whatever they're doing. Because 40% of the data centers are in water-stressed areas. This is not necessarily a water-stressed area, but we got fresh water here. We're Detroit River and Lake Erie. I'm concerned about that. Okay. The next big one is the energy costs. It's a known fact that the local residents will end up paying higher energy costs. Some of us in town, or maybe a lot of us we do the off-peak so we can get lower rates during off-peak hours. A data center is not going to be on off-peak, but those costs are always and have been presented back down to the local residents. So I'm concerned about the rates of that as well.
I don't want to interrupt you, but we are at 5 seconds left in the 3-minute window. I just want to make sure you had any closing comments.
Well, I have 3 more things and I don't have time, so do I have to come back up afterwards then?
There is another public comment at the later in the agenda. And obviously myself, any members of the elected officials sitting to my right and left, and our city administrator in the office every day would love to hear concerns. And all of our emails are on our website too, so we'd love for you to share any other information you'd like.
I know, but it's great, but I think the rest of the public needs to hear it if they're not here in this audience.
Just want to
So,
respect the policy.
I
Thank you so
understand.
much. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
would it be advantageous for this meeting to suspend the rules and extend the time limit to say 5 minutes, give them a little bit more time, given the gravity of the situation?
I appreciate the comment. I want to be fair balanced because we've held everybody else to those standard in other meetings, and we have many avenues to share the information day by day. So I would ask that we hold the policy unless anybody strongly disagrees. City Administrator Witherspoon, do you have any perspective on that matter?
I would agree with you. For every other meeting, we've held them to 3 minutes since it's been enacted, so I think that's the fairest approach to our
I just want to be
community.
fair, and I want to make sure everybody has a voice, and we want to make sure we hear everybody's insights, and there's many methods we can capture that.
Alrighty.
Heather Grotowski, 32112 Bellcrest. I am not actually a Gibraltar resident. I am across the street behind the A&W. And I have concerns because, one, the company who's building it doesn't live here. They don't have to deal with the noise, the pollution, the light, the sound, the anything. I think it's a slap in the face to put it across the street from the wildlife refuge. I get that there's like an existing building there, but it's going to drive away the wildlife that we have tried so hard to bring back into the area. It's a constant hum. It's going to suck our water. Yes, it's 200 to 500 gallons per day, but at some point it's got to be waste treated and expelled back out. 3, We, the constituents here within Gibraltar, neighboring in Brownstown and in Trenton, should not be the unconsenting parties to progressivism. I understand that AI is here to stay, but it is only here to stay as much as we like it, as much as we want it to. Personally, I can do without it. I don't have an Alexa. I don't want to see the land destroyed for it. I don't want to hear a constant hum. There's chronic conditions that come up, such as asthma, premature death, and increases in cancer thanks to the pollution. Yes, this is a smaller one, but there will still be fallout, and we are unconsenting, and someone's making the decision on our behalf. So I would ask that you would consider those that aren't here today when making your decisions moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Marcy Griswack, 20125 Candace. I represent the residents in the city of Rockwood, and I'm just curious what benefits versus risks they can expect, just roughly 2 miles on your border. And that was it. That was my question.
Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Marcy. Any additional members of public that wish to address council, please approach. And as I alluded to, we do have another public comment later on the agenda as well.
Okay, I'll try to make this or I'll try to read it as quick as I can, because I didn't know it was going to be limited to 3 minutes. My name's Kristen. I'm a registered nurse, a resident of Gibraltar. I graduated from Carlson. I want to begin by making it clear I'm not opposed to technology or economic development. Brownfield redevelopment could be positive for communities, but it doesn't automatically mean every type of industrial use is appropriate for every location. The specific location raises serious concerns. As other people have mentioned, it's right next to an international wildlife refuge, home to 350 bird species, fish spawning grounds, and the Humbug Marsh, which is one of the last intact coastal wetlands in the region. It also sits on the former McLeod Seal Corridor, which is a Superfund site that has a documented history of contamination and landfill activity. Because they're going to do construction on the area, it could cause contaminated soil mobilization. There's also important questions about cooling systems and water use. There's really no such thing as a closed-loop system. These large facilities use cooling towers to remove heat. They pull hundreds of thousands of gallons of water. What's more alarming is that water is being contaminated. It's picking up anti-corrosives, anti-scaling agents, biocides, and then it gets either dumped back into the groundwater or it goes into our water treatment facilities that are not capable of removing those contaminants. Let me see. I'm going to try to skip through some of this because I know my time is short. The noise concern that other people have mentioned, they average 70 to 90 decibels. An average concert is around 100 decibels, to give you an idea. There have been multiple lawsuits around the country of people suing over headaches, fatigue, tinnitus, permanent hearing loss, vertigo, inability to use and enjoy their homes, and there's other people complaining that they can't even give their home away if they want to try and sell it. Nobody wants to buy houses near data centers, so it's going to lower our property values. Also, the most important thing, this company is a relatively new developer. They don't have anything close to this scale. They own like 5 other facilities. They only use around 1 to 2 megawatts of power. This is the biggest proposed site that they're trying to build. And then also their executive has been sued before from the previous data center company that he worked for called Raging Wire due to compliance misrepresentation. So it kind of begs the question, who are we getting into bed with here?
We have 10 seconds left.
Okay, I'll just end it there.
I would welcome, and same thing, Ms.
Yeah.
Bolthouse as well. I please share the documents that you have that you prepared if you're
Yep.
willing. My email, most of you probably have my cell as well.
Sure.
Would love to discuss this further. Thank you so much. Are there any additional members of public that wish to address council?
Good evening. My name's Dan Chinowski, a resident of 30535 Adams Drive in Gibraltar. I consider myself to be a resident who tries to pay attention to the town, but is only truthfully able to do so casually. But one of my observations from watching this council and the decisions you've made is I've been very impressed by your push for data-driven decisions, to bring in experts that know what they're talking about. And I also understand that on the agenda today, you're considering perhaps passing a moratorium on this particular facility. And I would just like to applaud you if you do take those steps today. I share a lot of the residential concerns that have already been spoken today. And truthfully, I think the devil's going to be in the details. Some of the information that the company's also shared is contradictory, or at least refutes or may negate some of those concerns as well. So as a resident who's concerned about economic development in Gibraltar and certainly the health and safety of my family and the community, I would just encourage you to make sure that we make this decision with a full knowledge of what's going on. Because as you know, these things are sticky. Once they start operating, our ability to control this process is going to be extremely limited. And I would just, again, implore you to take a breath, take a step back. Let's hear what this company has to say. More importantly, let's let the residents hear what this company has to say and continue to do their own research. Obviously, many members of this community are out there doing their own research, and let's give them that ample opportunity once all the facts are before them and all the relevant parties have spoken.
Thank you so much. Are there any additional members of the public that wish to address council in our opening? And keep in mind, we have another public comment opportunity. Well, at this time, we will close public comment at our opening, and we will move to our presentations. We will welcome our presenter to the podium.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate everybody giving us the opportunity. I mean, everybody's busy, and we know that you already have a schedule, and we know that this came in last moment. So, I flew in for this. As it was said, I don't live here. Before we do a presentation, I do want to give a little bit of background. So I'm the co-founder. I own Radon. What we specialize in is effectively what we call the adaptive reuse of specific facilities for data center use, data center and telecom. What many of you probably wouldn't know, because I'm probably pretty bad at PR, is that we've been working in Detroit for more than 5 years. We are a partner with Bedrock. We are their technology infrastructure partner, and we've worked on projects that have enabled technology throughout this region in ways that benefit even this community as well. This project did not come about lightly for us. We don't advantageously look and just say, oh, look, this is a spot where we can just go and it's good for us. What you also might not know is that I've been reviewing and assessing this site for well more than a year. We were looking at a site in Taylor prior to this, and the drivers for that come from our clients. They say to us things like, hey, look, we have this type of demand for this region. Data centers don't just happen organically. They may seem like they do, but it's not really that way. There's certain business drivers. So what led us to this site was a number of the resources effectively that we look for that, frankly, allay a lot of the concerns that were brought up here. We don't like data centers that are near people, to be honest with you. We don't like data centers that are near risk areas. We don't like data centers that invoke risk. And the reason for that is that the computers need to live on their own, and they don't need to be near people en masse, what this really represents. Things that we built in Detroit, you wouldn't even know that they were there. They're quiet, they're small, they're servicing different things. And the person who talked about earlier about some of the size of the projects that we've done, absolutely accurate. I've also built 3 million square feet of data center space all over the world. So there's scale to all of this. So what brings us here, and what I really want to emphasize, is that this wasn't a casual thing. I didn't wake up 2 months ago and was like, Gibraltar. It was brought to us by someone that we've worked with in the community and said, look, there's this legacy site. It's up for sale. It's got a super fund next to it. It's got a lot of hair on it. What do you think? And I said, why would I do that? And they said, well, there's some other resources. So we looked at the power resources. We've got a deep relationship with Detroit Energy. We'll be able to talk about the energy relationships. And this fit a lot of those baseline criteria. Even then, it's still taken a year to get to this point where we felt comfortable coming to the city and saying, we'd like to broach this project. So I'm not going to tell you all data centers are not the same. All data centers are not the same size. All data center projects are not the same. A number of the things that were brought up here about concerns that are historically about the way that data centers have been brought and developed and operate are absolutely correct. What we can do, though, is we're going to be able to stand behind all the work that we've done so far. We've only hired local folks from an engineering perspective, legal perspective. The facts are the facts. So I'll do a quick presentation. I'm just going to show a couple of slides so you have a little bit of background. I don't want to bore anything to death. I don't read PowerPoint, by the way. So you can look and you can read, and then I'll just kind of talk to that as we go. I can just do it. I'll just... Okay. And just give some background. So,
And while you're loading this up, can we make sure to share the slides via our website or another avenue so everybody can have visibility to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I provided them earlier, so yeah, by all means, everybody can see what's there. So as soon as this thing clicks in, then we're good. That's not the right one. Okay. All right, so rather than just try to beat around the bush of things, we just want to get to some of the what we don't do. And again, we'll take all questions. There's going to be a town hall on Wednesday. I'm coming back in town. Any questions are good questions. But so I wanted to illustrate it's just the things that don't happen here. And we can illustrate this demonstratively. It's not to our benefit to create issues with local, state, and federal agencies because then that creates cost. It also creates impact. And frankly, our customers don't like that either. We're under a lot of audit control anyway. There's a tremendous amount of audit responsibility for these types of buildings, power, cooling, regulatory, and things of that nature. Adding anything else is a problem. So when we look at things like particularly wildlife, I built data centers in areas where there are protected species. We do protected species assessment. So we actually hire consultants that go and look and they say, okay, what would the potential impact look like either on the site, and candidly there's no wildlife on that site for all the reasons that were discussed earlier, or across the street. We're very aware of that. So we hire consultants to make sure that as we talked about decibel levels and things like that, those are not a concern. So we'll be able to speak demonstratively to those types of things. The water usage, I understand, is a point of contention. And I heard somebody talk about closed-loop systems aren't closed-loop. Unfortunately, that's not accurate. We do not have cooling towers. If you're familiar with mechanical infrastructure and engineering, it's called blowdown. It's incredibly expensive, operationally intensive. We don't do that. So these systems are air-cooled chillers. They don't use any type of contaminant products that are in there. The pipe is a closed loop. It literally just circulates. It circulates, circulates. If you ask me why we do that, it's really simple. It's just cheaper. So it's beneficial to the environment. It aids everybody around them because we're not using a ton of water, but because we don't need water, then there's no wastewater. It makes the systems run more efficiently. We're now in a world where these types of computers require a tremendous amount of engineering to be effective in the way that they function. If we didn't use a closed-loop system, we wouldn't be able to operate that building. So this is a rather newer model of engineering, call it the last 3 to 5 years. If this was a 10-year-old data center, it would operate very differently. So when we talk about water, there's going to be anywhere from 60 to 200 people working in that building. Well, they got to use the bathroom. They got to drink water. That's where the water use comes from. So based upon those people, we've already estimated that manufacturing sites, and this is published data, 2 million gallons a day. We're in this state where we don't need more than 600. So it's de minimis. Wastewater, by definition, if we're not using water, there isn't wastewater. The hazardous materials, it's really simple. Computers don't like things that make noise. They don't like things that are vibrational. They don't like hazardous materials. So we don't have any there to use. There's nothing to use there. So even in the fire suppression systems that are what are called pre-action, the retardant that comes out that actually would prevent a fire, that's not hazardous. So there's nothing in there that's going to be problematic in that realm because it doesn't support the building. The power costs will go into much more depth. We pay for all that. If there's infrastructure, it's on our dime. It's called a contribution in aid of construction. A kayak. DTE requires us to pay for that. We have to. So if we want poles done down the street, we have to pay for that. If we want a substation, we have to pay for that. If we want a new meter, we have to pay for that. On the community economics side, and we'll have to do some breakdown to talk about the tax incentive piece, and there is a balance. You are right that there are tax incentives. Our customers are going to want that. If that same project had taxes fully applicable to it, it would be a different number. But we're paying property taxes. We're also paying other taxes. We're also hiring a lot of people. So the impact in terms of the community is relative to the project itself, and we'll be able to address that further. The noise issues. We have to go through all of the regulatory requirements for noise. 55 decibels past that property line is the maximum. All of the generators are attenuated. They all have screens. That means that they can only have a certain decibel level. And when we have the town hall on Wednesday, I'll have decibel readers, and you'll be able to see what decibels really sound like. So we'll cover that. The hum that you're hearing from is 100% accurate for buildings that weren't built right. This is one of the reasons why we like that building. That building's a manufacturing plant. The walls are thick. It was built to already attenuate noise. So when we do things, and somebody talked about the limited projects that we've done, we've got over 350 megawatts under construction in the U.S. right now, is that we look for things like chip fabs. We look for buildings that already mitigate noise. So this building already has that in there because we don't want to have to go and build that brand new. It helps make it easier. So the noise isn't an issue. And on the pollution side, if you're not familiar with EGLE, which is the state mandated authority for all of your air quality, we have to meet those standards. And they audit that and they will shut you down. We don't want that because we're under contract with our customers. We can't deliver, there's a problem. So probably spent too much time on one slide, but the what we don't do, this is a little bit different. And again, we'll stand up to what we don't do, but I just wanted to illustrate that at the outset. This is us as a whole, and I'm not being cute when I say partnership. That's why we spent a year in the community. We've been here talking to people about what might work, what could work, what's feasible. For every 200 properties that I look at, we might investigate one further. And I do have a team. I have a company. I own it, but there's a lot of other people. We're not casual about this. So Detroit Energy is a large partner of ours. They're not a large partner of ours just because they sell us power. We've been willing to work with them to understand this project. And let me tell you, delivering power to this project is extremely complicated. So it's an inherent that we have to make sure that we're good stewards of them. We're not just paying their bills. They don't want someone to just pay their bills. They truly don't. They want someone that's actually going to operate effectively. And someone talked about earlier that this would drive your rates up. Actually, we'll be able to walk through and show you that the way a data center uses energy, which is at a very high level and very efficiently, makes them more efficient, which lowers the cost for everybody else. They're a steward for their lower use customers. And this is what they put forth. You can see that in their documentation. So when we talk about efficiency, that's something that's inherent to the way that we have to function. So this is just our ethos, and here's who we are. A little background on us, and I'll speed through some of these. Radon, Bedrock, the Rock family of companies. So on the left is 615 West Lafayette Street. That's where we built a data center in an existing building on behalf of Bedrock that rerouted the internet all the way through Detroit so that Detroit itself proper has internet service that it didn't have before. Everything already went through Southfield. It was incredibly inefficient. We had colleagues and we had partners and customers who were saying, hey, is there a way to fix this? We enabled that platform. And on the right, you've got the Hudson Block downtown. If you haven't been downtown, that's a brand new building complex that goes up there. They tried to put it up and it didn't have any cellular service. Radon is the one that enabled the internet and the overall technical infrastructure for that to work. So just a couple of projects that are bigger than what might be known. It's all public. So your cell phone, no matter who you use, has 5-bar connectivity for free in that building and the surrounding areas because of the projects that we worked on. So just some examples that are there. And again, you can read all this stuff later. I like this slide, and I might spend a moment on this, and I'll point to it. My voice projects. So you're here. Southfield's 2, downtown Detroit, our 615 asset is there. The internet lives in number 2. There isn't any internet anywhere else. There's a couple of little blips in downtown Detroit, but that's when we made number 3 happen. That was critical. By being able to go and enable this here, we're actually providing service that everybody uses today. And some of the metrics here are super important that I think that you find of interest. I didn't know this. I had to go research it. There are 4.4 million people in this entire region. It's the 14th largest in the United States. That's a large area. It's a known metric that 3 to 4 internet devices, every one of you have them. If it's a watch, it could be your car, it's your phone, it could be your toaster, it's whatever you have that's internet connected. So now do the math, and that's 12 to 16 million internet devices that every single person in this community has to their name in this entire region. You might not know it, and you can choose to say, I don't want to use AI. You're using AI whether you like it or not. And I'm going to tell you how pervasive that is. If there's a camera outside that's a public service camera that takes your picture, it's using AI, and you're using it. You can choose to withdraw. I don't know how you're going to do that. That's the world that you're in. So everything around you has a function. AI is not new. It's been here for a long period of time. I ask everybody the same question. I'll repeat this again on Wednesday. When was the first time you were typing a Microsoft Word document of any kind and it tried to complete your sentence? About 10 years ago. That was AI. So this isn't a new thing. So everybody's using it, and 77 of your cell phone apps have some type of AI function. Here's the big end state. There are 0 AI data centers in this entire region. None. So that means that all of your actual service for this comes from elsewhere. It's not as optimized. It's not as efficient. That means business doesn't get what it needs. This data center is meant to host, and somebody asked about the customers. We'll talk about who they could be. We don't have a customer signed yet. We'll talk about who they could be. But they're going to provide service to this entire region. That's the goal. It doesn't exist today. I apologize for being a little bit cheeky, but if you look at the middle bullet, all of your service comes from the NFC North. So, there's data centers in Green Bay. You don't want their service. It's coming here anyway. So I get it. I know where I'm at a little bit. So this is to just give you a reference as to where the technology impact applies and how this pertains to everybody that's here. For those of you that have come up here that clearly did research, you used all of this. If you didn't have that, then you wouldn't have been able to research. And we want that. We want the conjecture. We want the questions. But this is the technology impact of what this area is looking at. Is this the bastion of all of that? No, it'll come from somewhere at some place. But this is meant to provide some emphasis in what you can actually get and use here. So that's why that slide's there. I said earlier, not all data centers are the same. We're not. We're not unique. There's others that build like us, and there's others that don't build like us. And so I just try to list out some of the things that are here that enabled us. Why Gibraltar? And the zoning and energy, the utility partnership, these were clear things we've talked about. The strong labor talent is clear. We are going to need jobs. People say, I'm creating jobs. No, we need jobs. It's not just creating. I need people. We need engineers. We need operations staff. The people that operate these facilities today, even the existing steel mill, translate directly to our business. We also need unskilled labor. We need some security staff. We need janitorial. We need common things in one of these assets, but it's going to be on the order of a full build-out, 60 to 200 people. That doesn't even include all the vendors. All this has to be maintained and managed. So we have a deep relationship with Hatzel and Bueller Electric, a large union shop. I've worked with these guys for a long period of time. They need more electricians to support this. So there's this overall development that is generated by this site on the job side. The existing buildings are crucial, and we love the fact that we're able to revitalize something. That was the ethos of this business. How can we take something legacy and make it better? That site doesn't have a future. It can just sit there, but the owner needs to sell it. There aren't any other manufacturing plants. So this gives a new life to that. And frankly, selfishly, it makes us go faster. It allows our buildings to be built quicker. We get everything developed faster. And the energy generation is the byproduct of this. And we'll talk about this in way more depth on Wednesday. We will generate power at that site as needed. That is a benefit to your community. And we've already made a commitment to DTE that they will back up. They will support what I'm just saying is what we've already discussed and agreed to if it's feasible. We will provide generation on site that is larger than what we need. That way your community doesn't have to worry about a crunch of power from somewhere else. It's local, it's here, you have power. So again, something we can elaborate further. Sorry, I skipped on one. I already mentioned this, 100% of the power is paid for on us. The data centers operate with extreme efficiency. We use a lot of power, but we use it at a high efficiency level that lowers costs. And the self-generation is what I just mentioned. The right is a rendering. We haven't fully decided what it's supposed to look like once we've recladded the outside of it. But I will tell you, is that data center companies don't like coming to dilapidated buildings. So our customers want to look at something that actually looks clean. If it looks clean, it operates clean. So you can see the two differences that are here. We have on the left is what a manufacturing plant is going to look like, and it's when it comes out of service. And on the right is what's going on here and what we're doing. We're remediating all the hazardous materials on site. We have an obligation to do that. Somebody asked a great question earlier. I bought a data center campus that was formerly a chip fab, and there was so much material in the ground that the EPA would not let you actually even etch the ground without people covering that. We do not have that. We've already got clearance on that site. There is also not going to be construction on that site of that main building. The main building needs to stay intact. It all goes on the inside. So we don't have to go knock things down. We don't have to go create a lot of just dust and debris. We're going to take the things out on the inside so it's a nice clean envelope. Then we go from there. So it just gives you kind of a before and after as to what's going on. And that's it. So I don't know if I stuck to 15 minutes, but I tried as fast as I could. I also can auction cattle. So
Thank you. I know we want to make a commitment to share those slides, so we will make sure that takes place as an action
public
item.
for everybody. Yeah.
Council, any questions, comments? Thank you for being here to share the information. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, this will now bring us to our consent agenda. Councils and members of public, you will see item A, bills reference number 17, item B, payroll 1002, 003, 004, 005, and 006. Item C, city council minutes of 2/23/26. Item D, beautification commission minutes of 2/2/26. Item E, recreation commission minutes of 2/18/26. Item F, police department report for 3/9/26. And lastly, item G, fire department report for 3/9/26. Council will be looking for a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through C. G.
Motion by Bosmer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Lapointe. Any discussion on this matter? Clerk Tomasic, please call roll.
Cox?
Yes.
Dill?
Yes.
Lapointe?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Mulnar?
Yes.
Schumate?
Yes.
Bosmer?
Yes.
Motion carried. With that, it will turn us to unfinished business, for which there is none this evening. And I would like to now call your attention to new business. And for item A, I'll pass it over to City Administrator Witherspoon.
So this is hopefully pretty simple. The mayor is just asking to, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. I'm going to pass this over to Katie, actually. It's a correction of the minutes for the February 9th, 2026 meeting.
Thank you. After City Council approved the minutes of the February 9th council meeting, I noticed that Councilman Molnar was inadvertently omitted from the approved minutes. For that, I apologize. Robert's Rules of Order allows minutes that have already been approved to be corrected by a motion to amend something previously adopted when an error or omission is discovered. So in order to ensure that the minutes accurately reflect the proceedings and attendance of that meeting, I am requesting a motion to amend the previously adopted City Council minutes of February 9th, 2026 by adding Councilman Molnar as present in attendance.
Council, motion be in your court.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Cox, second by Dill. Council, any discussion on this matter? This will be a voice vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Clerk Tomasic.
Thank you.
With that, we will turn over to item B, which is a item that I brought to the agenda.
Go for it.
Okay, great. In this item, you'll see reappointments for Planning Commission and DDA. Council and members of the public, I've addressed some of the specifics in my council packet. But council, I wanted to give you a little bit more background for the sake of our discussion today. Number one is we want to make sure that we take a critical look at all of our commissions and our appointments. And so we are doing that as administration. I know we've together made a lot of appointments to different commissions, and we're grateful for the members of the public that have stepped up to serve in those seats. Number two, I want to thank the longstanding service of many of our commission members. In the sake of Planning Commission, we have members that have been on that commission since 1999. So hats off to the longstanding service. And number three, while we want to have administrative cleanliness on our appointments and the terms, we want to make sure that we also stagger the appointments so that by definition, just like an election for council and mayor, it creates a potential for rotation of individuals with different experiences and obviously perspectives they bring to those commissions. So with that being said, council, I'm looking, as we look at our recent time together, we've recently, most recently appointed Jeff McCarthy, and that was done just in February to our commission. And we've made some other appointments. But council, I want to reappoint 5 members. So I'll be looking for a motion to reappoint Mary Ann Piat, Jeffrey Upholzer, William Hutchinson, Patrick Friesen, and William Baker. So council will be looking for a motion to reappoint those 5 individuals, which would then leave the staggering of the most recent 4 that we've done together.
I move to reappoint Mary Ann Pat to the Planning Commission for a period of 3-year term. Should we do them individually?
We can do a combined motion unless you
Okay.
prefer to do so individually.
And Jeffrey Upholzer, and William Hutchinson, and Patrick Friesen, and William Baker for terms of 3 years.
We have a motion by Lapointe. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dill. Council discussion?
Is this for planning commission only, or are we applying this to both planning and DDA?
Planning and DDA.
That's your motion?
Yes.
I know I've brought it up several times in the office with the different city administrators that we've had over the last couple of years, and yourself too, that I believe that we should have a separate commission for the DDA. I know that we're technically under the threshold of 5,000 residents by the last census that we've had. That is the trigger that the state of Michigan uses for when a DDA board is required to be a separate board, but we have the flexibility to, on our own, decide to have that separate board. It's something that I think we would benefit from, differentiating the responsibilities. I don't know if now is the necessity to do it now, but I think it's something that we ought to do sooner than later. And if now is a good opportunity, then maybe we can just, review it now as well. That's my 2 cents.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Yeah,
to say I would
absolutely, please, yeah.
support that as well.
That's fantastic.
100%.
City Administrator and/or Anthony, any initial reaction? I want to make sure we open this for discussion for all. Thank you, Councilman Molnar.
So I think that will take a bit more research to bring before council before we make that move, but I think that's something we should do.
Can we commit to taking that action so that we have a follow-up with council so they have all the information they need to evaluate that option?
Yep.
Do we want to still make this motion for both it's something we may take up in the coming months?
I think with the information we have now, I would recommend yes, for the sake of continuity in the existing pathway. But obviously, as an administration, we can reevaluate with more information from City Administrator Witherspoon if we need to take another direction. We have the right to do that.
Very well.
Any further discussion on this matter? Well, this is an appointment, so I'm going to pass it over to Clerk Tomasic to please call roll.
Lapointe.
Yes.
McNabb.
Yes.
Mulnar.
Yes.
Schumate.
Yes.
Bosmer.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Dill.
Yes.
That motion is carried. I just want to, again, thank the longstanding service, as well as to our newer members, the collective commission members, in navigating their roles. With that, I would like to turn us over to our next item, which is another appointment consideration for council this evening. This is an appointment to our Zoning Board of Appeals. Council, I put information on the background of this applicant, but I'd be looking for a motion to appoint Marcia Cosmer as a member of our Zoning Board of Appeals.
Make the motion to support your motion to appoint Marcia Cosmore to the zoning board.
We have a motion by
Appeals.
Bosmer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Molnar. Any discussion on this matter?
I know Marcia's been a good volunteer who's always had a very fair perspective, and I think she'll bring that same fairness to that position on zoning board. Support it.
Well said.
Agreed.
Any other discussion?
Good pick. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Tomasic, please call roll.
McNabb.
Yes.
Mulnar.
Yes.
Schumate.
Yes.
Bosmer.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Dill.
Yes.
Lapointe.
Yes.
Motion carried, and Marcia, thank you for your service in advance on our Zoning Board of Appeals. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our city administrator.
Thank you. I'm going to kick this over to John, our DPW director.
Okay. Had a motion for a maintenance contract. I'm withdrawing that motion. Do I need support on that?
Procedurally, do you need any support for the previously removed item?
It's not on.
It's not on the agenda.
No?
No, we're at the sanitary sewer
Oh,
lift.
okay.
Sorry.
Cool. All right, I have a motion to approve the quote from I&C Sales North for a new gas detection system for the sanitary sewer lift station. Upon inspecting the lift station, I noticed that the existing gas detection panel was not plugged in. Upon plugging it in, it went into alarm mode and would not go off. Having an operating system is required for the safety of our employees who enter and work in the building. I researched the existing DynaGuard panel and contacted I&C Sales North, as they are a company that specializes in these systems. So a representative came out that afternoon and reviewed the panel and the detectors that are in the building and informed me that this panel and detectors are out of date and some parts are not even available. I could not find any records of when it was installed. Our guess was we found a sticker that said 1991. So I had I&C Sales provide a quote for a new Teledyne gas detection system, which will detect methane, carbon monoxide, oxygen, hydrogen sulfide sensors, complete installation, calibration, and startup. And we're putting an exterior yellow strobe light and horn outside the building. I'll proceed with this upon council approval. The impact is $19,982. I broke it out, the cost of the equipment and the cost to install it.
Thank you, John. Council, motion will be in your court.
I'll make a motion just for the sake of conversation.
Motion by Lapointe. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Second by McNabb. Discussion?
So I should know this, and I apologize. I can't get my hands on the purchasing policy right now. So there's no bid. What's the threshold where we have to bid something?
Ordinarily, it would be 10,000.
Okay.
I went out and I couldn't, this company here will supply it and installs it. The research I did with other companies was, we'll sell you a system and you find someone to install it. So this is turnkey, this is specialized equipment.
So sole sourcing, I would assume that's.
Yeah.
We don't have to bid for it.
So are you saying you couldn't find anybody to purchase it from and install it? Is that what you're saying?
Right, there's guys that'll sell you a system,
Yeah.
but then it's up to you to get another firm to install it. So I'd have to find somebody else that wants to come out and do the work. They'd give me names, but there's nobody local. This guy's local.
What's the price of this again? I'm sorry.
It's
Total is $19,982.
So our options are, do we need to waive the bid procedure to proceed if we award this?
Yeah, City Attorney, do you have any
So I'm gonna
perspective on
withdraw,
appropriate
or-
path?
I'm sorry.
I was going to defer to our City Attorney if he had any perspective on the matter, given the unique nature of what John has described on how that would
Yeah, you
be
could
best procedurally managed.
waive bid procedure, or alternatively, which is kind of unclear at this point, if he went out for 3 and he wasn't able to obtain 3, then he tried to satisfy the 3 bid requirement. So I guess if that's made clearer, then you wouldn't have to waive the process.
I thought our purchasing policy required over 10,000 to be publicly bid.
And I don't know if that was done or not, and if it was done for 3, so that's what needs to be made clear of how we're going to proceed.
City Administrator, any perspective as you're
We did
reacting to the
not,
discussion?
we did not go out for, we did not submit an official RFP due to the sole sourcing issue.
So no bid process outside of John seeking parties for which he was only able to locate one.
Which, by the way, is standard procedure for us. Before we do an RFP, we do some background research to see, okay, who are the parties we need to make sure this gets in front of? What lists do we need to put it on? So,
Question for, wouldn't we have to have the bid process to actually determine that it's the sole provider, though?
so
I mean, we're assuming this, but we never went out to do the formal bid.
council can absolutely ask us to go out to do an actual bid. This is the information that we have at the time. John did call around, but we can absolutely just do an RFP for that. That would take additional time, but we can do that.
John, perhaps as our DBW Director, do you want to just respond to the nature of the conversation, which is your council members having concerns about the sole sourcing aspect of this? Can you maybe just highlight the practical aspects of if we were to go out to bid, what impact
Well,
would
if
this
we
have
were
on our
gonna go
operation?
out to bid, it's probably gonna be another 8 weeks.
And how would that impact your day-to-day operation?
Every time we go over there, we gotta wear a gas detector.
So would you consider this an emergency? It sounds serious
Yeah.
to me. Like,
Well, yeah,
I don't want to
it-
wait
It's
8
been out,
weeks. If-
we haven't had nothing in that
So
building.
perhaps the
So maybe the
motion is best
emergency,
interest
we could
oriented.
award that based on an emergency situation for safety.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's-
is that,
City Attorney, do you have any perspective on that matter?
Sounds like an emergency to me, so that would be the
so
right way to
is there a
do it.
motion? Did I make a motion
Yeah.
to approve this?
So open discussions, if you'd
So
like to revise
based
the
on an
motion.
emergency safety situation.
Can we add that language to the motion, please, Clerk Tomasic? Is there support for that revised motion?
Councilman McNabb.
McNabb?
Yep. Great. Back to discussion on the revised motion. Any further discussion?
By the time it's all said and done, if you were to buy this unit and then hire it out for a contractor to install it, you'd be writing the same numbers by the time it was all said and done.
Thank
Instead
you.
of going to a single source.
So one of our challenges is that we don't have historic records that are easily locatable and easy to determine when the last time this was working. And I know that John is creating that as he goes now. So it's something that in the future, I think we're going to have better records to
Yeah, we're gonna
address.
we're gonna have a checklist over there when it's tested, when it has to be calibrated. So, yeah.
Yes.
Our records are hard to find.
Yeah, some of these things we're cleaning up from previous challenges, so I
Yes.
understand.
Okay. Treasurer Reiser, do you have something you'd like to add?
I would assume that this company will also service it when it needs to be serviced.
Yes.
So install it.
Yes.
Sir. That's another good point to go along with.
They're in Southgate, so they're nice and close by.
Well, the salesman lives in Brownstown.
Nice.
He came right over.
Excellent.
Well, I just want to I think it's the right push on process, so thank you all. John, thanks for bringing all the information to make an informed decision here. So is there any further discussion? Clerk Tomasic, please call roll.
Molnar.
Yes.
Schumate.
Yes.
Bosmer.
Yes.
Cox.
Yes.
Dill.
Yes.
Lapointe.
Yes.
McNabb.
Yes.
Motion carried. John, thank you so much. Anything else from your end?
That's it for this week.
All right, great. Next item is item E, request to approve GFD personnel to provide staffing for Marshmallow Drop.
Make that motion?
Second?
Okay.
Okay.
You, before you could even get to the podium, you had seeming support. But
need you.
Please, we're in discussion now.
That's fine. I was just asking for 6 personnel for the marshmallow drop is all that the action item is.
We appreciate you and everything the department's doing to prepare. Any discussion, council, on this matter, recognizing the active discussion?
I would just like to point out that it's April 4th. We're excited to see everyone there.
Yes, I know there's been posting and many discussions across the community, but we're very excited for the festivities, so thank you for making this part of it possible, assuming it's approved by council. Council, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much to you and the department. The last item is our, on new business, is item F, proposed resolution for data center moratorium. I'd like to pass over to City Administrator and then ultimately Councilwoman Lapointe.
So Councilwoman Lapointe brought this to our attention last week, and I'll let her speak to that.
Councilwoman Lapointe, the floor is yours.
I think I'd just like to read the resolution that's been given to council. There's extra copies in the back for the benefit of the people at home, if you'll bear with me. So it just reads that it's a data center moratorium, it's a resolution, and it just states at a regular meeting in Gibraltar City Council on this date and this address at 29450 Monroe Street, a resolution imposing a temporary moratorium for a period of 12 months on the establishing, permitting, consideration, approval, location, construction, and/or installation of any data center in the city of Gibraltar. Whereas the city currently has research and development facilities, technical centers, and laboratories listed as a use permit by right in Article 21-M1 Light Manufacturing Districts, or M2, of its zoning ordinances, but is yet to establish, approve, and implement additional standards specific for data centers. And whereas it has recently come to the attention of the council that the city should study and review whether data centers require additional local regulation within the city of Gibraltar, and whether absent such additional local regulation, data centers may interfere with other land uses and may have substantial impacts on the environment, public health, safety, and welfare. And whereas the city has a legitimate public purpose in assessing the regulation of the establishment and use of data centers within the city, and whereas the city council is desirous of assessing its regulations to implement an appropriate regulatory approach for addressing potential impacts of data centers while ensuring the productivity and healthy development of data centers within the city, which may include designated areas where data centers may be located within the city. And whereas the city wishes to consider and assess amendments to its current regulations regarding the use of data centers that are consistent with all applicable state and federal laws, including any controlling precedent from the United States Supreme Court. And whereas the time to consider and assess regulation of data centers will take several months. And whereas the city is legitimately invested in ensuring that data centers do not interfere with other land uses or have substantial negative impacts on the environment, public health, safety, and welfare. And whereas it is routine and appropriate method to enact a reasonable and temporary moratorium to consider enactment of any amendment, and whereas the city council finds that it's necessary and reasonable to establish a temporary moratorium on the establishment and use of data centers within the city for 12 months, or until the city has enacted a regulatory ordinance setting forth the regulations for the establishment and use of data centers within the city. Now therefore be it resolved by the city council as follows. Section 1, moratorium. The city hereby temporarily enacts a blanket prohibition on the use, establishment, and use of data centers, including without limitation approval of such use within the city, pending further study and enactment of city regulation addressing the same. Section 2, term and renewal. The moratorium shall terminate and be of no further effect 12 months from the effective date of this moratorium unless the city council adopts a resolution extending the moratorium or terminating the moratorium. And then there's Section 3, a waiver. A waiver of the moratorium may be granted upon the request of an applicant if the city council finds that the waiver would not impact the health, safety, and welfare of the city and is deemed reasonable by the city council in exercising its legislative authority over land use regulation to remain consistent with the city zoning ordinances. So it happened, I just want to give a little background. My understanding is that our master plan was updated. I don't think anybody in our community saw this coming, and therefore we didn't specifically regulate it. And I think not just Gibraltar, but a lot of communities are kind of left flat-footed, not knowing what to do. This is not an intention to, I have no opinion about the project because this, quite honestly, is the first time I've had any facts presented about this. So I just think, in all fairness, that we need to slow this down a little bit to give our planning commission time to do their due diligence. So that's what this is for. And I just wanted to kind of go through the process. So, you know, there's a couple things, it sounds like that have already been done by the developer. So the process is like 5 or 6 steps. So the first thing is the site evaluation and due diligence. And I think we heard Mr. Green tell us that they did their due diligence and that there is a study out there that this is a feasible site. I haven't seen it yet. I'm anxious to read it. The second one is zoning and land use approvals, impact studies, and this is where we look at traffic impact, environmental and utility studies, where we look at water usage, backup generator emissions, potential noise pollution, which we've all talked about this evening already. And so some developers also enter into developmental agreements with the city. We've had none of those conversations, so I just keep saying, what's in it for us? I have no idea what revenue will be generated, but I'm interested in having those conversations. And then finally, the building permits and approvals. I just learned it doesn't sound like there'll be any construction, so maybe that's not relevant. But anyway, again, I'm hoping to pass this moratorium, which can be changed, deleted whenever needed, but we need to make sure that our planning commission has sufficient time to do their due diligence and not get pressured into making a fast-track decision to get this off and running, which I know the developer is anxious to do, but we have a responsibility, I think, to our constituents to get some answers to the questions.
Now that Councilwoman LaPointe has highlighted the proposed resolution, council, motion be in your court to adopt the resolution for data center.
I make the motion to adopt the resolution as read aloud.
And I
at this
second.
point.
A motion by Bosmer, second by Dale. Discussion, council.
I've got a couple of items here. The zoning ordinance committee that we received a grant to create first started getting together last May or June. Our last meeting was probably in September, October, and we haven't met since then. And that seems, it's a little bit troubling that we haven't heard hide nor hair about where we were at with that process. And I know I spoke with city administrator regarding that, and the feedback was that what I heard was something along the lines of our planning folks at McKenna thought that they received some type of pushback from us, something along those lines. And so I was a little bit troubled that we received this grant, $50,000 from the state, I believe, and I don't know how much of it we spent. I don't know where the records lie on that, but we started addressing future land uses in the different zoning areas, but we didn't get an opportunity to complete our work. That group consisted of the mayor, myself, Jim Bilk, Bill Baker, Marcia Cosmore. Let me know if I'm missing anybody.
Jeff McCarthy.
Jeff McCarthy, correct, yes. And we had some very good communication.
Agreed.
We agreed on some things, we disagreed on some things. It was very respectful. We had three meetings. I thought it was put together pretty well. The troubling part is we just haven't seen anything since then. And I don't recall from our conversations if data centers were a topic or if how we proposed to alter the manufacturing sections of the zoning ordinance. I would have to look at the notes, but it's something that I think we deserve an opportunity to finish before we make too many further future decisions, or at least go back to visit what our thoughts were on that when we were in that forum. That's one note. Another note that Treasurer Fonte pointed out a project that none of us knew much about, Project Dawn, and I'm curious to know if this is Project Dawn. That was a code name project that was submitted, at least billed through C.E. Raines Company at least 2 years ago. I've heard nothing further about this code name Project Dawn, so I'm curious to know if that was something that is part of this, or if that was a different one, and how come that didn't get publicized accordingly. Lastly, when we faced the short-term rental conversation back at our beginning of our term, your first term, we had probably 9 committee meetings. We exhaustively researched that before we made any decisions. We spoke with Traverse City, we spoke with our neighboring communities, spoke with Roselle about how they approached it from a legal perspective and from a community perspective. But we put a whole lot of homework into that. I understand our charter speaks to this process and where we're at now, and how it governs the submittal of a site plan use. With that said, I know we have a protocol in place. I also know that we've taken our time, and as Mr. Chanowski mentioned, we've taken our time to get the facts and make fact-based decisions. And a rushed decision isn't necessarily, super beneficial. I think sometimes taking a breath and making sure we have all the facts might be appropriate, even if we may be stepping out of line from our standard approved processes and protocols. Just that's my 2 cents on it. I don't have an opinion either way. I don't know enough about it. I don't know that it's our call at council to have that say, or if it's planning commission specific. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Clerk Tomasic, please call roll.
Bosmer?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Dill?
Yes.
LaPointe?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Mulnar?
Yes.
Schumate?
Yes. Motion carried. At this point in time, we'd like to, since we've closed our new business with item F, we'd like to turn it over to our public comment. Any members of public that wish to address council?
Lenore Bolthouse, 30567 Young. The first thing I want to talk about, and I'm sad to see that you took it off and it's not on the agenda. I'd like to understand why we don't have an AC maintenance contract for these buildings in this city. We need it. I understand some folks don't like who the low bidder was. I'm not going to get into that discussion, but what I'm going to tell you is I think it's very unfair to the residents as well as the employees who work in these buildings that we do not have an AC air conditioning maintenance contract. It's wrong. And if you don't get one, what's going to happen to rentals of those buildings and different things like that coming up? We always go with the low bidder. You went out for them. I don't know how. I don't care if you think that someone who sits on this council is benefiting from that. In this point, when I looked over them. You are wrong not to vote and get that AC contract in place. That is my number one thing. Now I want to go back to data centers. I know you've heard a lot about them. I guess my biggest question is going to be to Jason, based on this moratorium, what is that going to do for him? Is he going to back out? Do you know what I'm saying? I understand we all want more businesses to come in to help with taxes. But remember, people, why you came to Gibraltar. Gibraltar was not a huge tax base. You knew what your taxes were. You know what your water bills were when you moved into town. You know that there's not a lot of land here for a lot of businesses. So I don't want to hear that one. I've heard that one a couple of times, and that just infuriates me. Am I infuriated at how high my DTE bill is? Yes. Do I like how high my water bill is? No. But I still live here, right? I still lived here. I know my house isn't up for sale. You knew it when you moved in. So stop complaining about more tax bases and that we should be more friendly to businesses. We are quite, in my opinion, quite friendly to businesses coming in to the town. So I don't believe that. So I guess my biggest question would be, is if in fact you did just agree to this moratorium, which takes effect today, if I understood that correctly, is that true? And does it really negate us having that open meeting this coming Wednesday?
Thank you, Lenore, I appreciate it. Are there any additional members of the public that wish to address council? Please. Make sure that light's still green and state your name and address.
Jeff Reed, 29965 Windsor. I didn't know this was even going to come up tonight, but since it did, the appointment of planning commission members. You guys all know I was a former planning commission member. One of the issues I had, and I think benefits the city to not have, is members that go out of town for the entire winter and aren't present. So I hope upon your appointments here that you guys think about that and make sure you have somebody that is here year-round. If they miss a meeting or two here or there, but when they're missing 4 and 5 months, I don't think that's beneficial to the community.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's all. Thank you.
Any additional members of the public that wish to address council?
Hi, Marcy Griswack, 20125 Candace, Rockwood. I just wanted to thank the members of council here for taking a step back, pausing, and reflecting on fact-based decision-making for the moratorium. I want to thank Councilman Molnar and Councilman LaPointe for pointing out that, yes, you have a process currently in place, but does that mean that has to be the standard that you make decisions by? So I appreciate that. Secondly, I just had a question. We have a gentleman here who's speaking in favor of data centers, and we understand why he's here. Would you consider offering someone that's an expert that you deem knowledgeable to come present information and data in opposition to data centers so that you can hear from both perspectives? I understand that everyone on this council will be doing their own private research and doing their due diligence. Secondly, I understand there's a year-long moratorium, so my question is would you consider at a 6-month point, or even maybe quarterly or something of that nature, giving an update to your residents, presenting the facts that you have found, and additionally offering the neighboring communities an opportunity to come listen, come learn, and have some sort of input in this decision-making, perhaps maybe a round table. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any additional members of the public that wish to address council? Okay, at that time, we will close our public comments, and we will turn it over to Clerk Tomasic.
Thank you. I have no report tonight.
Thank you, Clerk Tomasic. Any questions or comments for Clerk Tomasic? All right, Treasurer Reiser, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a report tonight, other than I will tell everybody that I will not be here for the next 3 meetings. Very long, planned vacation. Yeah, next 3 meetings.
Thank you.
Back in May.
Thank you, Treasurer Reiser. Any questions or comments for Treasurer Reiser? This time, I'd like to turn over for council report. Any council reports this evening?
I'd like to take, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please, after you.
To speak to the data center for one more moment, I'd thought about making a request for an amendment to shorten the time period from 12 months to a lesser period. But we have the flexibility within the resolution as read to make an amendment in the future based on having additional information. And I think that I think we're all learning a lot from the residents who have done their homework, also from the people who have proposed the project. We don't have a system in place right now to study this as a group other than what we do here at the council meeting. So I hope that we can put into process a expedited research mechanism to where we look into this and we don't just walk away from this meeting and come back 2 weeks from now, right back where we were. I would like to see us put in some type of a process to where we start reviewing what we need to review. And my recommendation to start is to get our committee re-engaged for the zoning ordinance review, see if we can get which I thought we had our third and final meeting, but maybe get with our planning representative to figure out what the next step in that process was and re-engage that. And maybe we put a focus on this in that forum. But any other thoughts that anybody else up here has as to how we can not just let this go, but keep proactively pursuing more information so that we can speak more intelligently, not just quarterly, as you suggested, but even 2 weeks from now. Let people know what our process is and what our expected timelines or different periods of more information that we can share with everybody. So that's my 2 cents for my report. I hope we have the opportunity to establish some ground rules, and if we can, I know that I'll reach out via email, phone, every which way tomorrow to our planning representative and to yourself and to the city administrator to re-engage that process. That's what I will commit to. If there's any other ideas as to how we can put a process in place, welcome them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think a systematic project plan for this is important with regular updates and community voice, so absolutely agree with Rob. Any further discussion or council report updates?
I just want to make one comment.
Please.
Concerning the HVAC contract. I'm very disappointed in the fact that it wasn't on the agenda this evening. I think that we should get past our personal thoughts and processes on this and do what's beneficial to our taxpayers and award it to the lowest qualified bidder. I think our administration did a heck of a job on the bid process and the diligence that went through it, and I think that was overlooked in the decisions that were made that night. So,
I'd like to echo that. I believe in our bid process is pure.
Agreed.
And I trust my city administrator, my mayor. The sealed bid was sealed. It was open that day, and people observed that. And due diligence of Mr. Cassant and the relationship he has with the service provider, and his opinion on that matters to me greatly. So I'd like us to revisit that and give it to the lowest bidder. They got a good track record with our community, and they have a few employees that live in our city and our fellow constituents. So thank you for your time on that. And if I may, I just want to secondarily, and I'm glad we have a great audience that came out today. So we have a blood drive that's coming up April 10th. A couple of, I think, pretty exciting things. We have the Secretary of State mobile unit that will come out as a free benefit to our community. You won't have to call, make an appointment ahead of time like you do the Van Horn location or the Telegraph Road and Taylor location or wherever else you'd like to go for those services. If you need a driver's license, transfer a plate, anything, pretty much anything can be done at that mobile site. And they came years before when I was on council, I think three times, but I'd like to start bringing them out quarterly or whatever we can do. But we have the blood drive, the 10th is a Friday. And then they're going to have the mobile unit set up at the Gil Talbert Community Center. I'd like the people in Rockwood to know we have that. I've spoken to another council member in Rockwood. I'd like to get some postings going with Brownstown and Grosse Ile and kind of reach out. We're getting a flyer put together right now with our clerk with the information that the Secretary of State gave us. I have 14 appointments so far. I'd like to see us get as many pints of blood can be collected. There's a great shortage. I know you hear that a lot and you think, is that true or not? There's a great shortage to the point where the hospitals might not have blood for a surgery. Surgeries might have to be postponed. So it's a great need. If you can get blood, you're healthy enough to do that. I'd love to have you make an appointment, 1-800-RED Cross or redcross.org or bosmer@me.com or my city email address. I'll help you. I'm a blood coordinator, so I can make your appointment for you. I'd love to have you come out and support that. So, and I think that lastly, the Easter is coming up, and it's going to be a really fun time. So if you're not from Gibraltar and you're here in our audience today, we'd love to have you out. It's a free event. I know the Easter Bunny, so he's going to show up. He's going to be there, and he's like a rock star. He gets all these pictures taken. He's really popular. We have a marshmallow drop. We have raffle baskets. We have very generous people. Our Duck Hunters Association, a nonprofit, donates adult bikes, and just a great time, really is. It's a fun time. And this year it's even better. This fire department's back involved with us, and they're going to cook pancakes, and people are going to eat and fellowship and hang out and really enjoy each other. We get to know each other more than just this sterile environment we're in right now. Then lastly, if I may, Mrs. LaPointe had a great idea. We have such a need for our commission members. Right now we have 4 that are on the commission for our recreation. They're doing a really bang-up job, and I am a liaison there. We're having a later meeting this month on the 26th of March, I think it is. It's always open to the public. We need more people involved. You don't have to be a commission member. You can just volunteer and just help out as you can. You can raise your hand and take an oath and really get more involved in your community and be an actual commissioner for that group. They do our ice sculpture event, lighting, Christmas tree lighting, you know, the 4th of July parade, and many other fun activities, music in the park and movie in the park, and a lot of fun activities. So anyways, Mrs. LaPointe had said, like to have like a summer thing or sometime in maybe early spring where we just, the council members get together with their own resources, provide some hot dogs and some baked beans and some potato chips, and just invite the community out for that specific reason, just to eat and hang out and get some free food from us, and then get to know us a little better, and let you know we need you on the Waterways Commission, we need you on the Parks and Recreation Commission. We have 2 beautification ladies that make our community, first of all, from a law enforcement standpoint, that's my background, you make your community safe by having the flowers watered, and you have, it's a beautiful community. Come in, you're like, man, this is a well-lived-in community. I don't want to do crime here. They look out for each other in Gibraltar. We have one of the best beautification commissions, I think, downriver. I really do. I believe that. And you have 2 ladies that are full-time commissioners that are volunteers, and then you have 2 other people that volunteer. I'm a liaison on that commission. So we need you. We need you. And Waterways, I don't know how well staff we are with them, but anyways, I want to go on and on. I'm glad we have a crowd today. You can please pass it on to your neighbors and your friends and your constituents that you live next door to. I'd appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bosmer. Any further council updates?
I'll be brief. I just attended the first SEMCOG meeting, and City Administrator Rachel was there with me. It was very informative. I didn't know what a wonderful, I know you do because you serve too, but what a wonderful resource they are for information.
Absolutely.
And so it was just a membership outreach meeting in Westland and the executive committee election. So they did elect Mayor Brian Turnbull of Northville, and then Mayor Bob McCrate of Romulus. So those are the 2 mayors that'll be on the executive committee. They talked a lot about the House bills that we sent the resolution opposing, about dictating to municipalities our lot size and that. So they'll keep us posted on that. The next meeting is March 19th. Everybody's welcome to attend. Of course, we all got invitations, and Councilman Dill will be going for the City of Gibraltar because I'm unable to attend. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman LaPointe.
So everyone have heard a lot from me, but the ADW I'm also liaison. So we did have our first meeting. It's only like, they meet a few times a year. It was while I was working, so I was trying to double up, and I got about 45 minutes in and I had to step out, but there's a need for a vice chair at the ADW, and I'll bring some more information back on that, so that's really light. And then the 33rd District Court recently, just so the public knows and the City Council knows, as a liaison, there was a grant for indigent people that just, you know, have struggled financially. I believe the dollar amount was like $300,000, and if you did your oversight for the 1099 contracts for these law firms that take and do the, they get paid a stipend for helping out. So in a nutshell, somebody from Grosse Ile was handling that. They no longer be a community partner, so they put a net out to see if they could get some involvement. I know our financial director was looking into it, see if we could task some of that workload for them and help them save that $300,000 grant, because the courts can't handle it themselves. They have to have a third party. So a gentleman, I can't think of his last name, but the fellow named Brian from Flat Rock stepped up. He's got a background with that kind of grant work. So the community at large, the Grosse Ile, Brownstown, Gibraltar, Rockwood, Trenton, I believe that's the communities that are involved with the 33rd District Court. So we still have, if I missed one, please let me know. So we still have that $300,000 grant that's going to be saved and salvaged, and it's good news for the community, for those that need help and need a lawyer and they can't afford it themselves. So thanks for letting me add that on.
Thank you, Councilman Bosmer.
Just one update for me, more globally. I just want to say, you know, God bless our troops overseas fighting for liberty and freedom abroad, especially any members of our community that are serving in our armed forces. We're seeing a war unfold overseas, and I hope we can see a resolution of that rather soon.
Thank you, Councilman Dill. Any further council reports?
I'm sorry, I want to touch on one thing that Dennis mentioned, that was the duck hunters, and kudos to Tim and Tracy Grant for working that, and Lane bringing her out there, making her work too. There was 270 people that participated in the Gibraltar Duck Hunters event. I know you guys will count up your contributions, and in the past, their events have raised money for our fire department, for our police department, for other community events. They give out a scholarship every year. They help support the Point Relay and their handicap duck hunting blind and other programs. But 270 people. It was a really nice time. So yeah, just big ups to the Garants for putting that together. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any further council updates? All right, Administrator, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'll try to be brief. First, piggybacking off what Councilwoman LaPointe mentioned about the zoning preemption, I know I emailed council about all of this, and some of you were very, I'm very grateful for you signing that. For the public here, the state currently is working through some bills in the House that would preempt zoning regulation ability from local units of government. What it would do essentially is apply a blanket standard for zoning ordinances across the state for every community. That means some of the standards they're talking about would be the same for the city of Gibraltar as it is for the city of Troy or the city of Southfield. That is something we are watching very closely, and we're working with our partners at MML and SEMCOG to try to emphasize how local governments are very much opposed to that. But what we don't have right now is residents understanding what that means and pushing back as well, because ultimately we could get up here and we could talk about how that impacts you, but the legislators are going to respond to their constituents, reaching out to them and saying, we oppose this, this would be detrimental to our ability to determine what belongs in our master plan and what zoning ordinances we would like in our community. So I encourage you all to reach out to your representatives, Senator Camilleri and Representative Linting, and let them know that you oppose the zoning preemption bills. All of that information, both MML and SEMCOG have great one-pagers on that for you guys. Circling back to data centers, we absolutely will bring a process for review at the next meeting. For council's understanding, this will likely incur a cost for us, so that is something we will include at the next meeting. I will stay in touch with Radon and Jason Green, including circling back on the meeting Wednesday. He has already indicated to me that he would like to still have it, but he's indicating that we will still have the meeting Wednesday, the town hall. So if you have questions or concerns, Jason will address them at that point. And just a quick update for council, at the next meeting, I am also hoping to bring a recommendation for an engineering firm. So we have that. And lastly, again, just the marshmallow drop on April 4th. We have a new Parks and Rec director. She has really hit the ground running with this, and our Parks and Rec Commission is doing an incredible job. So we encourage everyone to come out and enjoy some breakfast from the fire department. And yeah, that's all I have. Sorry.
Thank you, City Administrator Witherspoon. Any questions or comments for City Administrator Witherspoon?
Could we get clarification on the time that the, and is at the Gil Talbert Community Center, and what time, please?
It is at the Gil Talbert Community Center. Breakfast starts at 9:30. The marshmallow drop will be at noon, and there's some various other activities throughout the morning as well.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. In regards to the meeting Wednesday coming up, the open house, the
I'm sorry.
public meeting. Thank you.
That will be at 5:30.
5:30. Thank you for that.
Any further?
Is there any way, is there a way to televise that at the community center?
We don't currently have that capability, no. But something I am working on is creating a fact sheet. As council knows, I'm trying to stay very impartial about this. So the fact sheet will be truly just facts. I'm trying to keep any bias or any interpretation from my perspective or the city's perspective out of it. So I'm working on that. I have been working with DTE to understand things from their perspective as well. I'm talking to someone independently, someone different than who Jason's talking to. I set up a meeting and attended a meeting with SEMCOG, the president of SEMCOG. We spoke through that, some of the concerns the city may have. They helped me walk through those and address those. So all of those conversations, including the conversations I'm having with my colleagues across the state, will be part of the review process that I bring to you guys as well.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask the city administrator, is there a city phone that we can log in with the Facebook account that the city has, and somebody can live stream that from that event, and the community center has the capacity of Wi-Fi? Is that a potential opportunity, or?
I'm not sure. I'll have to speak with staff about that, but if we are able to broadcast it somehow, we will make sure to inform everyone via our website and Facebook page.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
On that, we might talk to the high school. They have a media center. I don't know if we've ever talked to them about possibly doing that for us. On short notice, I know it's short notice now, but they might.
I did originally speak with the high school about hosting it at their auditorium. Unfortunately, the dates did not line up with Radon and the high school. They have a play going on right now, so everyone attend Carlson's play.
Don't mess with that.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it may be too late in the game, but if I'm understanding council correctly here tonight, this is not the end of our discussions with Radon. So, if Radon's willing, we may have future opportunities to do things via broadcasting as well.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments for City Administrator Witherspoon? All right, that brings us to my report, for which I think we've adequately covered every aspect of what needs to be covered, and so I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you so much.